Evelina and Nathan Gertz.
Welcome back in here. What's going on, everybody? I'm Brandon Pavlina. Glad to have you alongside here tonight for our Week 5 edition of the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. I'm joined alongside the rest of the regional radio sports crew, Chad Speaker, Nathan Gertz, Stephen Kapler, and Jacob Vincent. Everybody's here tonight. And we've got a great week of football to recap. Let's go ahead and get right on into it and start off with the game that was heard on J98. Jacob Vincent was on the call. It was the battle for Perry County as it went to St. Vincent for the third year in a row as they downed the Perryville Pirates by a final score of 21-7 at Perryville Friday night on J98. St. Vincent, they have made it a priority this season to start the game fast, and that's exactly what they did against Perryville as John Wibbenmeyer found Phil Ernst in the end zone for a 25-yard pass play.
6:35 to play here in the first quarter. Three receivers out to the right for Wibbenmeyer. Takes the snap. Looking left. Has a man open. Wide open. And into the end zone goes Phil Ernst for the touchdown. The St. Vincent Indians strike first from the 25-yard line. And it's 6-0. Indians on top here in Perryville.
So, Jacob, I know you weren't here last year. Nathan and I had a chance to see Garrett Double R in action a few times throughout the season. A very talented, good thrower. He graduates, up steps John Wibbenmeyer, and he can sling it around a little bit too.
Yeah, Wibbenmeyer, a big body as well. Easily over 6 feet. They didn't have their heights listed on their roster, but he's probably close 6'3", 6'4", and he's got some weight to him as well. So he can definitely see over the line as well. And like you heard right there, I mean, that 25-yard pass play, he made that look pretty easy. He had another 20-yard pass play to a touchdown, had another 40-yard pass play to a touchdown throughout the game. So all of their touchdowns scored were through the air. They can get the job done on the ground as well, but and that's one thing they've been working on this year. But obviously, their name call is throwing it through the air, and Wibbenmeyer filling in just fine so far for Double R.
Yeah, 7-0 early for St. Vincent as they jumped out to an early lead, but Perryville would strike back to tie it up thanks to Dylan Holt.
Here's a handoff to the senior Dylan Holt. Runs out to the right side. Got some room to run. Diving for the end zone. Where's the signal? It's a touchdown. Perryville Pirates into the end zone for 6 goes Dylan Holt. Yet another touchdown, his second on the season from the 16-yard line, a 16-yard dash to the end zone for the Pirates. It's at 7-6.
And they were able to convert the extra point, make it a 7-7 tie ball game there early, but that was all the offense that Perryville could muster throughout the game.
Yeah, all the offense, and mainly, and we'll get to it in just a little bit, but have injuries hobbled them up a little bit, especially going into the second half, and just made their offense very, very slow in that second half. And this is a team, they run the ball very well. They have 4 or 5 players that average over about 6 or 7 yards a carry, and they have over 15 carries on the season as well. So they'll spread the wealth quite a bit. Dylan Holt got a lot of carries. Fernando Bajorquez got a lot of carries as well. And Evan Doherty, their quarterback, he runs it a lot as well. He's the one who ended up getting hurt. He went down and tweaked his knee a little bit, talking to Coach Boss afterwards, saying he doesn't know if he tweaked it or what happened to it, but it sounds like he tweaked it a little bit. And you could definitely tell he was in some major pain. But this is a big game for them. They're taking on St. Vincent, a team that's just a mile down the road from them. It's at home. He stayed out there in the second half, tried to will them to victory. Their defense, I mean, they played tremendous in this. Forced 3 fumbles for St. Vincent, but St. Vincent was just too much offensively for them.
Yeah, let's get to it. As you said, Perryville quarterback Evan Doherty, he was injured right before the half on a 4th down attempt, and St. Vincent got the ball back late in the half, and they took advantage as they were able to get some momentum heading into halftime.
Wibbenmeyer will send a man in motion. Drops back to pass. Looking out in the flat. Now he's looking over the middle of the field. A man over and a very short. Actually, it's caught by Schnurbush. Schnurbush makes it into the end zone. 6 seconds on the clock. Schnurbush was blocked by a Perryville Pirate defender. Couldn't see him. Comes out of nowhere. Makes the catch. And it's a 40-yard pass play all the way to the end zone.
Well, when I saw Schnurbush last year, he was certainly one of the better receivers that I had seen in the area. He's not big in stature, but man, can that kid play football. He is a really great athlete.
Well, that's why you heard me say he got blocked. He was blocked from my side of view. I couldn't even see him. I had a Perryville Pirate defender in front of me. Literally came out of nowhere. I thought Wibbenmeyer, he was throwing it to the end zone. Instead, he threw it to about the 10-yard line where Schnurbush was. he caught it and just took it right on into the end zone. Tremendous play by him and a huge momentum boost going into halftime to not have it at a tie game, because I feel like if they have it at a tie game, Doherty is a little bit hobbled up, but that still gives them a little bit more motivation to come out in the second half and play a little bit harder.
Certainly. So big play there, and that would send St. Vincent into the break leading 14-7. And as you said, Doherty was hurt right before halftime, but he did stick it out and play the second half, but it wasn't enough as the Pirates, as the Indians were able to hold the Pirates scoreless for the rest of the game. And then late in the game, Wibbenmeyer once again found Ertz for a little bit of insurance.
Wibbenmeyer barking out instructions. There's a tight end in the set, 2 receivers out to the right, 1 out to the left. Running back to his right is DeWild yet again. Back to pass, looking towards his left. He has a man down the field, wide open. It's Ertz. Ertz into the end zone. Touchdown, Indians. Philip Ertz makes it 20-7, and the Indians on top by 2 scores.
Well, it sounded like Phil Ernst had himself a nice game as well. He was the Applebee's of Farmington player of the game. He had 2 touchdowns and some great defensive plays as well.
Yeah, it was between him and Schnurbush, because Schnurbush, he had a pretty similar game. He had a touchdown as well, but you got to give the edge to the guy, especially for a guy. So Phil Ernst, a senior, coming into this game, he's been injured the last couple of years, which I found out from Coach Schumer after the game. He'll talk about it a little bit as well. Had only 2 catches coming into this game, had 2 touchdowns in this game. Tremendous defensive player as well. He was pretty much on Dawson Camden for the whole game. He was a prolific wide receiver for the Perryville Pirates and really just kept him in check for most of the game, with the exception of 1 pass play through the air. But Phil Ernst was very impressive. Big body, maybe 6'2", 6'3", similar to Wibbenmeyer as well. And those 2 linked up pretty well in this game.
Well, let's hear from Coach Tim Schumer as he says it was a process getting Ernst into the offense after being hurt over the last 2 seasons.
Philip, I mean, he hasn't played the last 2 years because of injury, so he's just kind of figuring it out, and he's going to be a huge weapon for us. He just kind of got to figure out his rhythm and where he's going to be. So it was a huge night for him. He came out and played big for us, got our first touchdown. We needed to get going, and then was able to kind of put the icing on the cake at the end of the game. So he had a huge night for us, and, that's kind of what we expected with him, but we knew we were going to have some growing pains just as he gets kind of used to playing, and he came out and had a great night.
Yeah, it's a good connection for those guys if they can have, because Schnurbush, as I said, is a great receiver. Certainly, if they can get another guy out on the edge and Ernst, who can do some good things, and Wibbenmeyer can spread it around, that'll be good things for that offense.
Well, the big thing in this, too, they had 3 fumbles in this game. Mason Light, a really good running back, had 3 fumbles in this game, and he's not going to have games like that going forward. They still scored 21 points, but if they get that ground attack going, they're going to have some really good success. Wibbenmeyer, he only had 4 rushing yards coming into this game. He probably had close to 50 or 60 in it, and he had a couple of first down runs as well. So he's making some things possible on the ground game as well, and it's going to be big for this Indians team going forward.
Well, maybe that's the next evolution of Tim Schumer's offense, is to have that running game as a big element, because we know he loves to throw the football, and we saw Patrick Mahomes last night pretty much show that you can do that and win a lot of ball games. So, but yeah, certainly a lot of weapons for Tim Schumer. It's good to see them bounce back after an early season that was stalled out because of COVID. Good to see the Indians bouncing back, getting a couple of nice wins. St. Vincent, they're 2-1 on the year now. They're going to host Fredericktown for their home opener coming up on Friday, while Perryville falls to 2-2. They're going to be traveling to take on Potosi this week, but still a really good ball game. I mean, the Battle of Perry County is always a lot of fun. Nathan and I had the call of that one last year, and as Nathan and I had a chance to reminisce when we talked about his game last week, that was a packed house for that game last year. I mean, it was absolutely packed to the brim. I'm sure this year was maybe a little bit different, but that county, that area shows out for that matchup.
Absolutely, and you could tell that night they loved their football as well, even though they were restricting some fans. They had some of the bleachers blocked off, but a lot of the fans, they were actually tailgating out beyond the field. The field is kind of in a bowl at Perryville High School, so you can sit up above the field, and that's what a lot of fans did. I asked both head coaches beforehand. I was like, for someone that's at town, what does this rivalry mean to everyone here? And he said, like you just said, there's thousands of people that will come out from all over the Perry County and from all over Perryville, and they really show out at this game. And you could tell, obviously, there could have been more people there, but with how many people they were limiting, it was still a really good atmosphere and a really good game.
Yeah, it makes it for a lot of fun when you get those pretty much cross the road. I mean, it's right down the road. I mean, they're less than a mile and a half apart, are those 2 high schools. So, but as you said, St. Vincent, they will hold on to the crown that is for Perry County for the 3rd straight year with a nice win over the Perryville Pirates. So St. Vincent, good performance by them. Let's jump over and talk about the game that was heard on AM 800 KREI. Chad Speaker, of course, on the call there. No stranger to AM 800 KREI, and Farmington football, as it was quite the week for the Knights. A heart-stopping victory in Week 4 for Farmington, as they learned on Monday after that great win that they had been bumped up to Class 5. And then on Tuesday, the Knights found out that they're ranked 9th in the state by the media in Class 5. The homecoming activities got them to Friday night and a Week 5 SEMO North matchup with Cape Central. A lot of stuff going on to start off the week, Jim.
It was a busy week for them. It was a good week, though. Most of that stuff was a positive for them, and they just wanted to finish it off with a happy homecoming.
Well, they certainly did. And let's jump right into it as Josh Haynes' option offense took over from there. As the Knights, they hammered out 399 yards on the ground with 254 coming from fullback Braden Botkin, who has pretty much become a significant contributor to that team game in and game out. He's a stalwart on our airwaves. Botkin carried the ball 16 of the first 17 plays and found the end zone on the first 2 drives.
They give us to Botkin, off tackle left side. Botkin looking at the end zone, slams his way in. It is Braden Botkin all day. 9 plays on the drive. Botkin carrying it all 9 times. And the 4-yard touchdown run. Botkin off tackle right side. Nobody touches him on his way to the end zone. Braden Botkin, his second touchdown in the first 2 drives. And the Knights are on top, 13-0.
Well, I mean, you touch the ball 16 out of the first 17 plays. You get 2 touchdowns out of it. I mean, and as I said, when I sit and do the studio from back at the J98 studios, and I get your highlights, seemingly always Braden Botkin is finding a way to make an impact.
I've never seen a guy touch the ball that much that early. I mean, 16 out of the first 17 plays. Plus, it wasn't like, all right, it was Botkin to the outside and then the inside, and then they split him. It wasn't like a Christian McCaffrey type of thing. It was Botkin starting between the tackles, going right at the defense every time.
Yeah, and he's just a tough guy to bring down. But the offense was its own worst enemy for the rest of the first half, with penalties and an interception stopping drives. And that didn't stop the Knights from tacking on a few more points.
Morgan Diamond puts 3 wide receivers off to the right side, 1 to the left. He gets a snap. He's back in the end zone. It's on the ground, and he is too. And Judd Cunningham holds him down in the end zone. It's a safety for the black shirt defense. The snap down around the ankles of the quarterback, Morgan Diamond. He goes to pick it up, and a happy birthday sack and safety for Judd Cunningham.
Quite the play by Judd.
Yeah, he's a stud. Nobody can stay in front of that guy as a nose guard. It was actually an errant snap in the pistol formation that rolled to the 1. You had a feeling with Cunningham out there that they were going to have a pretty good opportunity for a safety. And in fact, later in the game, Judd was just inches away from his second safety of the game. Didn't quite happen, but it was just within the blink of an eye.
Was it actually his birthday?
It was actually his
birthday.
That's what I thought it was. He and his twin sister Jocelyn.
Well, there you go. A little birthday gift right there, gift wrap for him in the end zone. So, yeah, and you heard it on the call there. 16-0 at that point. Farmington on top over Cape Central. And after they were able to correct those errors, the Farmington offense was back at full power in the second half. After the break, quarterback Caden Files called his own number to the tune of 3 scores.
Files down under center. He's going to go with a quarterback sneak. Botkin gets behind him, pushes the whole thing in, and touchdown Farmington. Files keeps it. Off tackle right side, cuts back to the middle, to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. Touchdown. Caden Files. 2 straight touchdown runs for Files. This time from 20 yards out. Botkin behind Files. Both of these young men have 2 touchdowns apiece in this ball game. Files keeps it on the sneak, and everybody shoves their way into the end zone once again. And for Caden Files, he has 3 touchdown runs on 3 straight drives.
We'll call it 17 carries, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns for quarterback Caden Files, who was just last week our player of the week, or Applebee's athlete of the week, for his performance in a comeback victory over St. Dominic. He follows that up with a 3 touchdown performance once again this week.
Farmington in their last 3 games, 25 points, 29 points, and 37. And, you don't really necessarily think of those as eye-popping scoring numbers, but the efficiency of their offense is really higher right now because, you have a game like Kavler called a couple weeks ago where there were 2 touchdowns and 2 plays. But for Farmington, they'll go 10, 12, 15 plays. That's what they're designed to do. And they end up scoring it so that they don't score quite as many points, but the number of possessions in their games a lot lower than in a lot of other games.
But as you said, it's not only that about that offense. It's that they're not necessarily doing a whole lot in a way of trying to confuse the defense. They're just running it right at them.
Yeah, and I talked to Eric Krupe about that today, and he said that the whole idea of the triple option offense is to take what the defense shows and to take what they give you. And he said they reviewed the tape, and he said that's probably the best game that their quarterback, Caden Files, has played in terms of his decision making, meaning the 16 times out of the 17 first plays he gave it to Bodkin, the right decision.
Yeah, man, that's tough to do, man. That mesh point, if you know that running that offense and what it requires, that mesh point requires the quarterback to be accurate more often than not. And Files obviously running that offense to perfection so far this season. The only other possession for the Knights came at the end of the game. Farmington allowed the clock to run out with them at the 1 yard line. But Farmington coach Eric Krupe, he says that his team controlled the line of scrimmage.
We've got a great fullback for 250 yards. Again, that's 200-yard plus games in the last 2 conference games for Braden. He runs hard, he runs tough, he runs through tackles. Our offensive line did a really good job of getting pushed tonight, and we were able to exert our will up front. You can add in the fact that Caden did a really good job reading it, because ultimately it still comes down to reading it, and he did a good job of understanding when to give the football and let Braden pound it, but then he also understood when he needed to pull and get vertical. And
well, you heard Eric Krupe right there, too. I mean, echoing the sentiment that you just said. I mean, it sounds like Caden Files really has a good feel for that quarterback position in this triple option offense.
And we talk about, how much they rely on Bodkin, and definitely they do, but their quarterback, Caden Files, is also averaging over 100 yards rushing per game. Yeah. So, there is some variety in that triple option offense, even though it's all ground-based. Bodkin's up to about 140 yards per game now, and Files is right about 108 per game on the year.
Farmington 5-0, 2-0 in SEMO North play on the year. I mean, they got to be feeling good. Top 10 team in the class, in Class 5. Really can't have scripted a much better start for this Farmington team.
Yeah, two more games in the SEMO North at Poplar Bluff this week. We'll talk about that matchup coming up a little bit later. Bluff got the week off, I guess you could call it that, this past week. And then you've got Jackson out there. Who, everybody knows what Jackson is. Yeah. And so that's going to be tough for anybody, whether they play anybody from this area or any area. But those are their 2 games remaining in the SEMO North. Yeah,
so we'll see how Farmington finishes up. But so far, so good for that Knights team. And they've been tested early, too. I mean, you get a win like that against St. Dominic. I think that does a lot for the confidence of your team, knowing that you can come back, too.
We'll talk about this a little bit later. But yeah, the St. Dominic win was really nice. Farmington wins basically with 14 seconds left. Fox tuned St. Dom up this week. So, tip of the cap to Fox. That was a really nice win. And
absolutely.
We'll talk about them, too.
Let's move over and talk about Nathan's game while we have a chance. As the Festus Tigers, they beat the Hillsboro Hawks for the first time in 6 years, and they earned a share of the conference championship with a 41-26 victory on Friday on Jefferson County Friday Night Football on KJEF. First place was on the line in the MAFC Red Division, and the Tigers' big play offense showed up to no surprise. Even after an injury to star senior running back Austin Anderson, junior quarterback Cole Rickerman took matters into his own hands.
Ball at the Hillsboro 26 near side. Ash makes the get on the handoff, keeps himself, goes right up the middle, and he's going to go untouched into the end zone. Touchdown, Festus. Cole Rickerman scampers 26 yards without anybody breathing on him. And with less than a minute left here in the first quarter, the Tigers start to get a little cushion as they lead Hillsboro 19-6.
So Austin Anderson goes down early, and you think, well, Festus playing a good Hillsboro team, this could be a bit of a problem, but obviously the offense kept chugging along without him.
Yeah, it could have been a huge, just demoralizing blow. The first play of the game from scrimmage, he runs 58 yards. He flips the field, and then he just comes up gimpy, and by the midway through the first quarter, he's out of his pads and on crutches. So they could have really just fallen apart, but I think maybe the very 2 plays later after that run and that injury, they scored the game's first touchdown. And credit to Cole Rickerman, who took over as a runner in a way he hasn't had to this season. He made plays there, and they were able to hit the big plays over the top as well with their passing game.
Well, and that's remarkable because Austin Anderson is a huge part of that offensive attack. I mean, he was our player of the week, or Applebee's player of the week 1 after what he was able to do. Did Coach O'Fonnell give you any indication as far as the seriousness of his injury?
Not totally. From sources I've heard around the program, it sounds like it is something to do with lower body hip, and the belief is that it'll probably keep him out for a week or 2, but they do think they can get him back later in the year, which is good news. And obviously, with the start that they're off to, your concern at this point is making sure that he's healthy for the postseason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with the season, the start to the season that he's had, and the way that he has shown progression from last year to this year, you want to see him be able to get back out on the field and finish off this 2020 season because he was really working on doing some good things this year, and obviously a tough break for the Festus Tigers there.
Yeah, it's been a storybook kind of senior season for him. He didn't touch it a whole lot a year ago, and coming into this game, he had run for 600-plus yards, 6 touchdowns. He had 3 TDs as a receiver, and he was the true bell cow back. The next closest guy in terms of carries, I think, was 15, and he had piled up like 50-some-odd carries. So they relied on him for the most part. That said, they found a way to adjust in this one, which I think makes this perhaps the most impressive victory they've had this season.
Yeah, that score you heard from Cole Rickerman, that made it 20-6, and that was the lead at halftime. Rickerman, he went on to score a second touchdown for Festus, and he also threw a big bomb for his second passing touchdown on the Serenity Hospice Care play of the game.
Going to be backed up all the way to their own 10-yard line. Rickerman again, 2 wide each side. New shotgun. Lobs it far sideline. Got a man. It's caught. Dalen Wagner past midfield and gone. 40, 30, 20, 10. Touchdown Festus. Dalen Wagner finally beat the one-on-one coverage down the far side of the field. And he goes right past the defensive back for the Hawks and goes 80 yards, 90 yards, as a matter of fact, to the house. And Festus gets the strike it needed as the Tigers are now up 26-12. A 2-possession game again with less than 5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Tell you what, Coach O'Fadale is certainly going to be bummed out to not have Austin Anderson in the backfield for the next few games, but you got to feel good when you got Cole Rickerman doing the things that he's doing in that O'Fadale offense here this year.
Dalen Wagner had 3 catches for 160 yards. Colin Doyle caught 1 pass for 57 yards. I mean, it's a lot like watching a baseball team that strikes out a ton because he only completes 50% of his passes. It's either going to hit the turf or they're going to go 90 yards to the house when they throw it because all they do is take deep shots. And it works out, though, because teams have been unable to stop them. And Hillsborough was no exception. Dalen Wagner got loose for that one there. Like I said, the story for me was what Cole Rickerman would do with his legs, having to step up in the middle of the injury to Austin Anderson as he ran for 2 touchdowns. Credit also to Landon Bradshaw, a sophomore who had, I think, 5 carries so far on the season. He had to take over and take pretty much every other snap and running back, and he ran for 2 touchdowns as well. So everybody came together and really did a fantastic job of filling that hole for their star number 5.
Yeah, it's impressive to do against a really good Hillsborough team, too. I mean, I saw them beat up on North County pretty good, and that defense is certainly stout. So Festus is, as we talked about, I mean, they're looking really good here in 2020 and led by Cole Rickerman at the quarterback position. Obviously, big day through the air for him. 264 through the air. He added 44 yards on the ground. You said a couple of touchdowns as well. But regardless, you count for over 300 yards of offense. You're doing some good things. As Rickerman was, of course, named the Applebee's player of the game. After the game, Tigers head coach A.J. O'Fadale said his whole team showed up on offense after Anderson went down.
You know, a lot of it's kind of ragtag sometimes. You know, we got guys that make plays. Guys have really done a great job of doing their best to lock in and learn as much as they can and be responsible for a lot of information. But the reality is, you know, we're going to make some mistakes here and there. You know, we're asking to do a lot. We got a lot in the offense. And, you know, so it's a big responsibility for those guys, and they're handling it well, though.
Well, couldn't have a much better start to the A.J. O'Fadale era at Festus.
5-0. We were talking about state rankings. They debuted at number 6 in the Class 4 poll last week, and the polls that came out today, they hopped up 1-5. So you really can't say enough about what they've done. The funny thing is, I continue to say it, they can get better. They got another game with 100 yards and penalties committed. They struggled on defense in the run game. Austin Romaine was a beast for Hillsborough with 120-plus yards on the ground. They gave up around 250-plus on the ground. They can truly get better, both sides of the football, despite all the good things that they've done. And I think that's the exciting and fun part going forward to see if they are able to grow and get even better after just an incredible hot start. But the feeling right after, you could tell, was also just the sense of relief. They had lost 7 in a row in this rivalry. They lost 39-14 last year at Hillsborough, and the Hawks came into that game 0-3. That's the thing that's been standing in their way, it seems, of not just being on top of the conference, but having a chance to have a really great year. They've gotten that win. Now it's a question of building on it.
Yeah, impressive stuff. 5-0 for Festus, 3-0 in the MAFC Red Division, and they can win the league outright for the first time since 2014. As they're going to take on North County this week. If they get a win in that game, they will do that. You can hear it on AM 1400 KCHEP Let's talk a little about Hillsborough before we take our first time out, though. As the Hawks now fall to 2-3, they're going to look to bounce back against Windsor next week. That Hillsborough team is really, really good this year. They've played some tough teams. The record is 2-3. That's not at all what that Hawks group is capable of doing this year. They played a lot of tough teams, but they're a good squad. What did you see from them this past Friday?
Like I said, Austin Romaine just continues to astonish. I mean, he is a monster running the football, and he flies around on the defensive side as well at that linebacker spot. I thought that Zach McNeese played another outstanding game, one of their top defensive ends. They were kind of undisciplined, too. They had over 100 yards in penalties. It was a game that felt like at any moment they might just decide, hey, let's just go settle this behind the stands. But they're a physical football team, and they can win games with that physical style running at first and foremost. Griffin Ray keeps growing at that quarterback position. I agree. I like where they're going. I mean, we're talking about not just number 5 in the state now in Class 4. This last week they lost to. They played Jackson at one point this season. The Northwest game, even though they lost it, they had a chance to beat a Class 16 there. They're better than 2-3. You cannot overlook them going forward.
All right, we'll take our first time out. We have Coach Wyke on the line along with a few players as well. We'll take a timeout, come back, and chat with them. So stick around here on the Home Bulls or on the Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's in Farmington.
Ready to get out into the great outdoors? You can be at the Family Center Farm and Ranch Superstore. How about a new 2020 High Sun?
How long of an ad break do you want?
Power steering for only $8,799.
Go like 2-3 minutes.
For farming, hunting, or running around the neighborhood.
Got it. Thanks, man.
Make sure you play the station ID at 7 as well. Just play ads to 7, play the station ID, and then bring it back to us, okay?
Got it. Thanks, man.
Only at the Family Center Farm and Ranch Superstore in Farmington and Bonne Terre.
Thousands of children across America each year are diagnosed with cancer, an often life-threatening illness that remains the leading cause of death by disease for children under the age of 15. This month, the city of Peabody and Wolfmeyer Heating and Air Conditioning in House Springs encourages you to remember the young lives taken too soon. Stand with the families facing childhood cancer today. This message brought to you by the city of Peabody and Wolfmeyer Heating and Air Conditioning in House Springs. Put the wholesome goodness of Prairie Farms fresh dairy products into your meal planning. At Prairie Farms, new 5-ounce cottage cheese cups, 7 fun flavors. Now you can snack healthy any time of the day for breakfast, lunch, or for an after-school snack. Choose from 7 new smooth and creamy options, including sweet and savory. Small batch cottage cheese now in 5-ounce snack cups. It's snackability for your family from Prairie Farms. Locally produced since 1938.
Fall is here and winter is on its way. This is Andy from Gifford Lumber Company in Farmington. We're always ready to help you get what you need no matter what the season. Plumbing, electrical hardware, lumber, tools, and so much, much more. Stop by and see us and check out the Makita, Yeti, Benjamin Moore, Traeger grill inventory. We're Gifford Lumber Company and we're hometown proud, located on Potosi Street in Farmington.
Gifford Lumber Company in Farmington, hometown proud.
Purchasing a hot tub is one of the best decisions you can make for you and your family. Hi, I'm Megan.
You want me to play one more 30, then the legal ID, or just after this 30, do you want me to play the ID?
After this, you can play the ID and come to us.
If you are considering purchasing a hot tub,
All right, thanks,
I invite you to stop in and see what we can do for you. We are Home Pools and Spas on the outer road just south of Leadington.
Going home is where the fun. Everybody's going home. Pool and spa.
KTJ. Festus Crystal City, St. Genevieve. A boot.
Welcome back here on the Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's in Farmington. I'm Brandon Pavlino alongside the rest of the regional radio sports crew, Chad Speaker, Nathan Gertz, Jacob Vincent, and Stephen Kabler. And we are joined on the line now by the head coach of the St. Genevieve Dragons, Ken Wyke, is there with us. We've also got a handful of other players. We've got sophomore quarterback Aiden Boyer, who was our Applebee's of Farmington Athlete of the Week this week. We've also got a couple of receivers, and Peyton Matthews and Brett Beezer, and Dale Probst, one of the big guys up front. That's who we have joining us here today. Guys, can you hear us? And how you guys doing out there?
Yep, I can hear you fine. I hope the guys can.
All right.
Hear you.
Yeah, sounds
good.
like Sounds like we can hear you guys. Perfect. Well, hey, a big win for you guys this past week, 59-28 over St. Pius. So, Coach White, I just want to start off with you, man. You guys start the season 0-3, and you play some really tough teams. Now you go back-to-back wins and do it in really impressive fashion over the past 2 games. What's been the feeling, and what's been the turnaround for you guys over the last 2 games? Is it just that youth starting to develop a little bit more? What has been the difference here over the last 2 weeks?
Well, the attitude's always been good. I hope they're developing more. I mean, it's a process. You know that when you got a lot of young guys, but these guys that we got on the radio here, well, Aiden's the only young one, but the rest of them, they know that they've been working hard and they're doing things right. And when you play tough opponents, you play good teams, you don't always win. But we were doing things right in them first 3 games. So, I think everybody kept their heads high, and we finally got on the win column against Potosi. And this past week, same way. I think we're still playing hard, hard football like we did the first 3 weeks. We're kind of getting on the other side of some of the breaks, and things are going our way.
Yeah, sometimes, honestly, in the game of football, that's what it takes. You need a couple of bounces to go your way to start getting some momentum in your favor. And certainly, you have the young team. They're starting to kind of get some games under their belt, and you get some bounces going. And so some good things happen. And listen, a big week offensively for you guys, 59 points against St. Pius. Take me through just your thoughts on the offensive side of the ball here on this past Friday.
Well, again, it started up front. We talked about it earlier after the game. I was real proud of our offensive line. They started to gel together this week in practice and actually came together, on Friday night. And you put up those kind of points. We punted, I think, once in the fourth quarter, and that's something you always shoot for offensively is scoring points and not giving the other team the ball. And we did both of those. It starts with up front with the line, but Aiden, we talked about him, the game he had. You guys recognized him with the game of the week or player of the week, but he just did a great job of spreading the ball around, and we made big plays when we had to. But I think what was more impressive was that we actually sustained some drives, and we had made some big plays earlier in the season, but we just couldn't put together drives to either eat clock or to end up with scores and that. But we did that this week, and it's kind of, it goes all around. Football is the biggest cliche of how it's a team sport, but it's true, and everybody chipped in their part, and guys stepped up and did what they had to. I was real proud of the whole group.
Coach, when you look at this performance, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and give a little love to those guys up front, as you said. And I want to talk to Dale Probst for a minute here, because Dale is one of those guys up front who does a great job leading the charge on both sides of the ball. But Dale, I want to talk to you about the offensive attack this past week. Obviously, your coach said that you guys are starting to gel a little bit up front. You're one of the more experienced guys up there. So what are your thoughts on how you guys played on the offensive side on Friday? Do we lose Dale? All right, well, I haven't heard from Dale. We'll give Dale. Dale, if you hear us, give us a shout. Is he there? Dale?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, man? Listen, I was just asking you. I want to know your thoughts as one of the guys up front, one of the linemen who leads the charge for this team is you. All right. I'm not sure if he can hear me. All right. Well, let's move. Let's move over and ask Coach White a few more questions here. Coach White, for you guys this past week, the defense certainly maybe not as where you would have liked it to have been, but good enough for you guys. Take me through the defensive side of the ball and how you feel like that side's developing this year.
I think they're coming along really good. Pius had a couple of big plays on us that kind of set up, their scores. The Rubel kid's a real good runner. Their quarterback had some good balls downfield on us, and give them credit. They made some good plays, but I think our defense has been coming along all year. It's the same as the offense, young guys learning things and gelling. And Ryan changed it up a little bit this year. We went to an odd front to mix in with our forefront. So we've got a different package there altogether. So we're like everybody else. Nobody really had much of a summer, and we definitely didn't have a spring with the kids. So it was all fairly new. And I think football in general has kind of been slow developing for everybody this fall just because of that. We don't have spring ball in Missouri, but I think we get a lot done in the weight room. We get a lot of communication done, and then you go right into the summer, and there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to do. But I think our defense has come along. What we ask is just get to the ball, get there in a hurry, and get.
All right. Well, it looks like we may have lost Coach White there.
Oh, they keep doing that.
Oh, there he is. Look at that. All right. So,
Yeah.
well, let's jump over.
Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Hey, listen. You know what? We're all learning this together, man. This the COVID era, trying to do everything separate. It requires the technical side of things to work properly, and sometimes you know what, the technology doesn't want to cooperate. There's nothing we can do
Yeah,
about it.
you're testing this old man's technological capabilities.
Hey, we appreciate you, man. You're doing great. Let's see. Is Aiden Boyer still there? Because I want to talk to Aiden. Aiden, he was the Applebee's of Farmington Athlete of the Week. He went for 6 of 11 through the air, 162 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also added 17 carries, 153 yards and 3 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns on the night for you, Aiden, and you counted for over 300 yards of offense, man. That had to feel like a weight lifted off your back after you go through some growing pains to start off the season. To have a performance like that, what did that feel like for you on Friday night?
Yeah, it felt great, but it was all because of the offensive line blocking for me and Brett leading for me. Peyton caught every ball I threw to him. Brett caught some good balls, broke some tackles. So just big thanks to them, really.
Yeah, certainly. A great quarterback knows who to thank, and that's exactly what I want you to do right there, man. And let's give a little more shine to those guys. I want to talk to you about the wide receivers before I bring them on here. Peyton Matthews, Brett Beezer, a couple of guys who are upperclassmen, experienced receivers for you. How helpful is it for you to have guys like that on the outside that you can get the ball into their hands?
Yeah, it's really important. I've known these guys for years, and we've been best friends. And then coming out this year, I was working with them a lot in the off season during 7-on-7, learning their speeds and learning their routes. So it's just they're both good weapons to have on the outside.
Certainly, and hey, you're becoming a good weapon under center yourself, man. And I want to ask you before we bring in the receivers, just the overall thought for you, man, as named the Athlete of the Week. That we only pick one a week, man, and you were it. So, what does that mean to you to get recognized as perhaps the top performer in the area here this past week?
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing until Coach White said something in the locker room. But
And what does it mean to you, man?
It means a lot. The first 3 weeks were pretty rough, and it just makes me more confident in what I'm doing on the field. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I would imagine so, man. Listen, like I said, I mean, you guys went through some growing pains early, but you've certainly developed here late, and a huge game for you this past Friday, 6 touchdowns. And let's talk to those receivers. Peyton, I'll start with you, man. A senior, a leader for this team. What can you tell me about how this offense has developed here over the last couple of weeks and your confidence level in Aiden running the show?
Yeah, we had a slow start to the season. I think we didn't have the chemistry we had because we haven't all played with each other, but this past week, I feel like it all came together, and the offense is really unselfish. Coach White mentioned it in practice. Like, no one's disappointed if they don't get as many touches, and everyone's excited when someone scores and ready to chest bump them in the end zone and tell them nice job.
And for you, Brett, what are your thoughts on the offense this year with Aiden under center?
I thought, like Peyton said, I mean, everybody's really unselfish. We're always happy. Everyone's happy when we score. Nobody's mad because it wasn't them. We're really happy sharing the ball around and happy for our teammates making plays.
Well, and so you guys got a big game coming up here on Friday, and Jacob Vincent is going to be on the call.
Yeah, let's. You guys can't see me right now, but I actually want to direct this back to Aiden over there. I know Aiden, there was you already mentioned it, a tough start to the season for you guys, but you guys are taking on 3 5-0 teams that are still 5-0 to this point. You got another 5-0 team coming up this week. Just kind of take me through offensively, how much more comfortable you are in Coach White's offense, throwing the ball, running the ball, whatever it may be, and kind of what's made it a little bit more comfortable going up against some undefeated teams and now taking on some teams from closer to around the area.
Yeah, I'm believing in the offense, and we just got to prepare each week, running more plays, making everything more efficient, and just making more big plays. Haven't really been doing that this year, and we've just been practicing that every day, just hitting the deep balls.
Well, you mentioned those big plays. I mean, you went 6 for 11, threw the air for 162 yards. So some big plays there. I mean, you threw it to Beezer for 64 yards. You had one pass play to Caden Fly through the air for 42, and then a couple of passes to Peyton for 56. So you mentioned those big plays and how you're trying to get a little bit better at those. It seems like they worked pretty well last week. Have you guys been working on more of those this week too, trying to get ready for Central and trying to catch them off guard through the air?
Yeah, today we ran a bunch of go routes.
Trying to keep those DBs off their heels, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
No, go ahead.
And a lot last week was broken tackles. The Caden Fly one, he broke 2 or 3 tackles. Brett broke 1 tackle for about 30 yards. So just got to keep working on the deep balls.
Now, Coach Wyke, I do want to throw it back to you for this question. You got Central coming up this week, and I already mentioned it to Aiden how you guys started the season with 3 5-0 teams, getting ready to take on another 5-0 team, another ranked team in the state, and obviously always a good rivalry matchup with Central. Going to be a fun one this week. When you take a look at this team, obviously Deshaun Welch is going to be the man to pay attention to. You can only do so much to slow him down and just try to kind of limit his yards, limit his touches. Outside of him, what do you guys have to do defensively to try to slow down this Central offense?
Anytime you play Central, you've got to play physical with them because they're going to play physical with you. You know, and we've been talking to the kids, and they're obviously always well coached, and they're going to come after you. And it's their homecoming; it's on their field, and we get good games with those guys year in, year out. And we've got to go in there with the attitude, you know what, we've got to be able to hang with them. And you know, we've had some games where they've run up, you know, they've crushed us. We be honest with you, they've beaten us pretty bad a couple of times, and then we've had some tight games with them. So you know, I think when we have those tight games with us, our kids just go in there with the attitude that they can play with them. Central's got a good team. They're physical. They're a big team. But our kids just got to realize, you know, that's what we are too, and we can play with them, and we got to play that kind of game, especially defensively. We got to attack, you know, and like I said, Welch kid, he's very quick. He's going to get his carries. He's going to get his yards. We just got to try to limit the damage with him and try not to give him a lot of places to go to, and you know, just swarm to the football and make something happen.
Now, offensively, I mean, Aiden kind of mentioned it already. Are you guys going to be trying to throw it through the air a little bit and try to catch those DBs off guard, or are you going to try to go to the ground and pound and maybe switch it up a little bit on the ground as well?
Yeah, you know, PJ's listening, so we're gonna go.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, you know, it's one of the things where you've got to have some balance. You've got to be when you play Central. Like I keep saying, they're well coached, so you've got to have some options. You can't just come in with what you did last week and hope it works again. So we've got some things that, you know, we're going to try, and like anything else, you know, you hope you have success with them. But if you don't, you better have a plan B and a plan C, because they're gonna. So you know, you come in, you execute as well as you can, and play as hard as you can, and hopefully for the best.
Now, Coach White, final question from myself. I coming up this week, other than the physicality, what are a couple of key things that you guys need to do to try to come out victorious in this one coming up this week?
You know, it's week 6, so we need to keep getting better. We've improved in certain areas every week. Our defense needs to tackle better. Our offense needs to sustain longer drives, and we need to quit having so many penalties on offense. You know, there's a couple of little things. We got better in the passing game. We won the turnover game last week. We need to keep winning the turnover game. You know, we talk about our early games, our early losses. We were behind in those categories too. So we've got to keep doing little things right. You know, this is a big conference game for us. It's a big rival, but we're still shooting for, you know, week 10 being the best that we can be then. So we're still trying to get better every week, and we need to improve those little things.
Coach Wyke, we appreciate you guys joining us here today. Ken Wyke, Aiden Boyer, Peyton Matthews, Brett Beezer, Dale Probst all hopping on here on J98 on the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's in Farmington. Coach, hey, and players, guys, we appreciate you hopping on. Congratulations on the win this past week, and we'll be out there on Friday. Looking forward to seeing a great game.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick time out and come back in a moment here on J98. And we'll actually keep it here for just a moment. We will take a break in just a moment as we've got our station switching over back in the studio. We'll keep it here. Why don't we go ahead and actually talk a little bit about the games that we have coming up here on Regional Radio with a look at our Hearing Care Partners broadcast schedule. Coming up on Thursday, we will have Tiger Talk. We'll hear from Elia Drinkowitz as the Missouri Tigers prepare for their Week 2 game after a tough loss in Week 1. Tiger Talk will be from 6 to 7 on Thursday. That'll be on AM 800 KREI. Also on Thursday, we'll have a couple of volleyball games for you. It'll be South Iron at Lesterville. That one begins at 4:45 on the MIMO Info Sports Stream. And then also that same night, Thursday, it's Volleyball Festus at Jefferson. That one will begin at 6:30 on AM 1400 KJF. Now we can take a quick time out and be back for more from the Kohl's Tractor Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's in Farmington.
Comtree Health Center is still available to meet your health needs. We will continue
How long
to
of an
follow
ad break?
guidelines and practice social distancing.
It's like 4 minutes.
Of individuals served and staff. Behavioral health
Thanks, Ray.
virtual visits and
To
begin
tell-
in-person visits. Primary care is providing virtual and face-to-face
What?
visits and child immunizations. Dental care will continue providing emergency assistance and comprehensive exams and cleaning. Please
Nothing,
contact
Hunter.
your office of record for additional visit information. Thank you for your patience as services are being modified to meet the needs of our community.
At Toyota, today's the day to score a great deal. That means today's the day to take a ride in your thrilling new Camry. Today's the day to scale new heights in your powerful new RAV4 Hybrid. Or maybe today's the day to turn heads in your stylish new Corolla. Today's the perfect day to tackle a new outdoor project in your tough new Tundra. Today might even be the day to go as far as the road will take you with the epic range of your new Highlander Hybrid. Today's the day to save on all your favorites like the Toyota Camry, Corolla, RAV4, Highlander, Tundra, and more. But hurry, this offer ends soon. Head into your Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. Participating dealers only.
See Twin City Toyota, I-55 at the Herculaneum Auto Mall exit, or visit them online at twincitytoyota.com.
YMCA has adapted to help you stay connected and active. Hi, this is Samantha Robertson. We've enhanced our safety measures, improved our cleaning procedures, and expanded our virtual options to keep you connected at the Y, at home, or on the go. Members enjoy state-of-the-art fitness equipment, free group exercise and aquatics classes, discounts on paid programs including youth sports, swim lessons, childcare, and more. When you join by September 30th, you'll pay no joining fee and receive Y program bucks. Join online at gwrymca.org/join, call 636-931-9622, or stop by the Y today.
America's tastes go from sea to shining sea. But this summer, American taste buds will unite around steak, whether for a barbecue or dinner for two. Steak answers the call with plenty of sizzle. So raise your grilling tongs, salute an American icon, and together proclaim, United We Steak. Join America at unitedwesteak.com. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Funded by beef farmers and ranchers.
Cozy Memorial Chapel has been serving Farmington and the surrounding communities since 1864. Their commitment of service to the community is deeply rooted in Missouri history and is the foundation for everything they do today. John Cozine is proud to be the fourth generation to operate Cozine Memorial Chapel and is proud to support Farmington High School. Cozine Memorial Chapel, serving families for generations at 217 West Columbia Street in Farmington.
Have you ever needed to pay the babysitter and realized you don't have any cash on you? I know I have. Hi, Paul Hale here with New Era Bank, and our new app allows you to make payments anytime. You can pay anyone instantly with just a few clicks on your phone. Person-to-person payments, or P2P, saves both of you the hassle of having to deal with a check. Your account is automatically debited, and they get the money real time. Best of all, you don't even have to bank at the same bank. For more information, check out our website at www.newerabank.com. New Era Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Brad Smith at your home, the No Bull Deal, Lucas Smith Chrysler Center. What is the No Bull Deal? It's
coming back after this ad.
Or Jeep dealer offers. Sure, you can shop around, but we're confident you will come home to our way of doing business. We take the nationally advertised
Hunter, I'm not sure what you mean.
price, and we guarantee it.
I'm asking
like
like
a minute 30, like
for this
minute and 30 seconds.
for this ad break.
Service anywhere. We are Lucas Smith Chrysler.
Well, do you want me to play one more ad?
No. We're back here from Applebee's in Farmington. I'm Brandon Pavlina. Welcome into the Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. As we have heard from the head coach of the St. Genevieve Dragons, Ken White, we've recapped our first 3 games. And also want to give a shout out to Hunter Greavy back in the studio, busting tail back there, helping us bring you all the sights and sounds here from Applebee's in Farmington. Also want to thank Amy Cousins, as always, the manager here at Applebee's in Farmington, and also want to wish her a very happy birthday, as it is Amy Cousins' birthday as well here today. So a very happy birthday to her as we celebrate at her establishment.
We should shout out our man Ethan too. Our man Ethan over here.
I was to say Ethan does a fantastic
Hustling
job.
circles all over the place.
Yeah, if you see a tall, lanky, blonde guy with it's got like a bun in the back of his head,
tip him well.
Yeah, give him a good tip, man. He's always hooking us up over here. Ethan at Applebee's in Farmington, and a happy birthday to Amy Cousins. So let's dive back into the football action here and look at our final broadcast game from this past Friday. It was heard on the MyMo Info Sports Stream. It was the Potosi Trojans and the Central Rebels, and this one wound up lopsided, but certainly was back and forth a little bit throughout. As Central, they are just looking real good here this year. 5-0 for the Rebels with a 33-6 victory over the Potosi Trojans. That was heard on the MyMo Info Sports Stream. The scoring started early for the Rebels, seemingly as it always does with that offense of Deshaun Welch, as they scored on their second play of the game. But this time it was Jet Bridges, the quarterback, connecting with Grant Mannion on an 81-yard touchdown pass.
Near side left. Here's the snap to Bridges. He's looking for a quick throw over the middle, wide open and caught across the 30, 35. Big play. Down to the 50. It's a foot race. 40, 35, 30, 20. They're not going to catch him. End zone. That is caught by Grant Mannion as he goes to the house. Second play of the drive.
Well, that's been the big thing that at least I've kind of recognized when I've talked to different coaches and players about this Central football team in 2020 is that with Jet Bridges under center, they can actually throw the football a little bit more than they have in years past.
Yeah, they could do a whole lot. I mean, especially, it all starts with the running game of Deshaun Welch, but being able to, the defense is going to have to stack the box to even get a chance of stopping him. So that's going to leave a lot of one-on-one coverages on the outside. And Jet Bridges is fairly accurate. He missed a few throws. It's got some room for improvement, but he's good enough right now to where he can make those downfield throws, explosive play throws, and whenever you open up that kind of offensive capability along with the running game and the explosiveness of both Bridges and Welch, it makes for a dangerous team, and that's what we're seeing here in 2020.
Yeah, they're a potent offensive attack. The Rebels went down. They added a field goal on their second drive to go up 10-0. But then Potosi was able to answer with a 10-play, 73-yard touchdown drive to pull within a score. But that was the only time that the Trojans would score, and that was the closest, obviously, the ball game was at that point in time. And after Potosi seemingly a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Blake Coleman thinking that he might have a chance to take over that starting role and supersede his brother because Blake can really throw the ball around. Potosi's offense has come back down to earth.
Right, and they put Andrew in after some time, getting time to practice as opposed to throwing him in there on no time practice. And he went in there and he looked like he was the guy to command the offense. He was throwing the ball pretty well, but just not quite enough to sustain drives. And that's kind of what head coach Dylan Wyrick was saying post game when I talked to him, was just we've just got to sustain drives, get that first down of a drive to kind of build some confidence and then keep going, as opposed to them getting themselves in second, third, and long to where it's a guarantee they're going to have to throw the ball, which is not the strong suit of the offense. The run game is.
That's my thought exactly. Is that Potosi team is not built to play from behind or built to play in a shootout. They need the defense to play well and then the offense to complement the defense. The defense is really the name of the game for that Potosi team. And when they're having to throw, it's not exactly their strength. They like to rely on the run to set up the pass. It seems like that kind of was what they ran into a little bit here tonight. But let's get right back to it. So 10-7 at that point after Potosi marches back down. But again, that was the final time that they got on the board as Deshaun Welch, he had his first big run for, wait a minute. He had a big first rushing for 112 yards.
First half rushing.
Gotcha. First half for Deshaun Welch, 112 yards on 9 carries, including this long touchdown run.
3 receivers right. Here's the snap. Hands it off to Welch yet again. He's going to break the middle, and he's got a big one there across the 50, 40, 30. They're not going to catch him. And that's what he can do, folks. Deshaun Welch goes down the field, and that is a 62-yard touchdown run. Deshaun Welch.
Yep, there goes that man. You can't keep him down. He added a 1-yard touchdown run in the second half and capped off the night with 16 carries for 127 yards and 2 scores. Jet Bridges added a 35-yard touchdown run to his night, sealing the win for the Rebels. And after the game, head coach Corey Schweiss said it was nice to get a win, but his team needs to work harder to stay disciplined.
Well, I thought we did some things all right. I don't think we executed quite as good as we should have. Probably not the happiest I've ever been after a victory, but I thought the effort, we play hard. I mean, I can't question our effort. I thought a lot of guys played well. Taking away the others, the offsides penalties and just some things we shouldn't be doing in week 5 of a football season, but.
Yeah, and that's Coach Schweiss certainly pleased to be 5-0 on the season, but maybe not in love with his team's effort that night.
Right. Well, there was just a bunch of those, just like he said, a bunch of those small mental errors that when you start going up against teams, especially whenever you're getting into the postseason, that if you're making those mistakes, it could lose you a game in the snap of a finger. And fortunately for them, they're a strong enough team and a better football team on that night than Potosi was, that it didn't matter that much, but it could come back to bite him in the end.
I was going to say there may be a clue in that interview that he gave post game with us on as to why he was upset, and I don't think it had anything to do with what happened in his game. I think it's what he said right as we were about to leave, which was, "Hey, congratulations to Valley Catholic, the team that they might see at some point in the postseason." He knows right down the road in St. Genevieve there's a real good outfit, so he knows that his team is going to have to, as well as they played, keep taking steps forward.
Oh, yeah, that's a fantastic point.
Although, admittedly, Valley Catholic did not play their best game with 7 turnovers on Friday, but
which is why he wants his guys to get better, because he knows what's coming.
Right, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's a Central team that is looking real good, but they're at that caliber of good that they need to start getting nitpicky and start looking to fine-tune the very little details, because they're a team that could make a deep run in the playoffs.
Really glad to see that they got into the top 10 this week in the state in Class 3. They've more than earned that.
They were, that last poll, they were right outside, enough votes to put them 11th.
Yeah.
And then got into the top 10.
Yeah, they are certainly worthy of a top 10 spot in the Class 3 here this year. They are a juggernaut, and especially on the offensive side with Deshaun Welch and Jet Bridges and company. So a fun team to watch. Let's hear from Dylan Wyrick, though, as he said that he loved how his team never gave up, and he likes to see his team showing the unteachable things like fight and grit.
We kept swinging. We kept fighting for 4 quarters. We didn't lay down. We stayed up. Our sideline and our kid, our kids that were not in the game were excited and we're in it. And our kids on the field left their hearts out here. And we're going to continue to improve in that area this week. And then we've just got to get better at playing football and again finishing games, sustaining drives, and.
Well, listen, I mean, you're taking on a really good Central team, and that's a tough matchup for Potosi regardless. But yeah, Potosi now 2-3 on the season after a really great start. They maybe need to start to find their footing once again here on the campaign, but they still do plenty of good things. I mean, the defense is obviously their calling card. They've had some issues at the quarterback spot with Coleman going out. Andrew Coleman going out, Blake Coleman stepping in, and those two switching off sometimes. So Potosi's just at a bit of a crossroads right now in their season, where we'll see how they finish in the second half, but they're still doing plenty of good things.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things going on, but again, they haven't had I don't think they've, other than week 1, they haven't had a week where they've had their entire starting lineup on both sides. I mean, last week it was Iskriggs that was out. He's their starting fullback and a big part of that defense. Kike Ortiz the week before that was out. I mean, once they finally get everyone back from whether it be quarantining or contact tracing or injury or whatever it is, you're going to start to see that this team really is a talented, well-coached, well-rounded football team. But whenever you don't have the full complement of your weapons and your abilities, it makes it tough, especially when you're going up against the Central team.
Certainly. So 5-0 for the Rebels as they will face St. Gen coming up on Friday. You heard Coach White there talk a little bit about it. We will have coverage of that game on the MyMo Info Sports stream. Potosi falls to 2-3. They're going to take on Perryville coming up here on Friday. That's going to be a real good matchup as well. Let's look around the rest of the scoreboard from this past Friday night here quickly and hear from some head coaches on their thoughts on how their teams perform. As the big game of the week, of course, Valley Catholic playing host to Blair Oaks, a battle between 2 top 5 teams in the state. And I had a chance to chat with Judd Nagger after the game. He was obviously pleased with this team's performance. A lot of things to clean up for them with 7 turnovers in the ball game. Yeah, 7 turnovers, folks. They had a hard time holding on to the football in the first half, but they got much, much better as the game went on. And Coach Nagger, he says it was an outstanding game.
We faced so much adversity tonight. It was unbelievable. You know, we had a rubber line go down with an injury. We played the entire second half pretty much without Jake Jack from cramps. We turned the ball over 7 times. We turned the ball over 4 times. We had played half a quarter. Turned the ball over.
So Coach Nagger is saying there he would have liked to have an opportunity to have worked on that a little bit, but his team still comes out and gets a 7-point win, 35-28 over Blair Oaks. Battle of 2 top 5s in the state. That one certainly lived up to the billing.
I mean, I was the one who went into that hearing that, they waited till 2:30 on a Thursday to schedule not just, a Class 3 team, their first year in Class 3, not just a top 10 team in Class 3, but save for 2 state championship games, they'd be the 3-time defending state champs in Class 3. They are the gold standard. They turned it over 7 times, and they still won the game. I mean, I'll buy in. I'm all in. You can bathe me in blue and white. I'm buying the Warriors right now. That is an unbelievably good win for this team. That said, should you see them down the line, there will be a very angry bunch of Falcons from Blair Oaks if there is a rematch in the state playoffs.
Yeah, you could believe that. 49 straight regular season game winning streaks snapped in this game by Valley Catholic. Blair Oaks won 49 consecutive regular season games. That's over 4 seasons of not losing in the regular season for Blair Oaks. Valley Catholic snaps that streak, albeit not in their best performance. But yeah, certainly that Valley team, Nathan, we followed them all the way down to the state championship last year. I'll say it tonight. They're better than they were last year this year.
I'd have to agree now. Yeah.
They are going to be a dangerous opponent in Class 3 this year. But
you say not their best performance, and I agree in a certain respect, but I think it's more impressive to win after turning it over. So I mean, they had to be that good.
That defense, man.
You spot them 7 possessions and you still beat them. I mean, you shouldn't be able to beat anybody spotting them 7 possessions.
But Valley Catholic is not just anybody. They are a different breed and obviously a great team here in 2020. Keep it moving, going down. We heard from Coach White. We won't have to hear from him again here as his team beat up on St. Pius 59-28, the final score there. Moving on down for the Northwest Lions. They got a nice win out on the road over Seckman 48-28. And head coach Corey Tenyus said that he was pleased with his team scoring.
Kellen and Ed did a real good job of getting us lined up this week and trying to see what we could do well. And we were without John Boyer, so we kind of had to mix some things up. We're going to come in trying to run the ball a little more. Their offensive line tried to establish, and they did a good job of that. But I can't say enough about Aiden Boyer. He had a night. He had, like I said, I don't have the stat book in front of me. I think he had 3 rushes and 3 passing touchdowns. He was terrific. The line stepped up, played great, but Aiden, the quarterback, did a great job.
Oh, that was 30 seconds of Coach White right there. That wasn't. Let's see if we can hear from Corey Tenyus on how his team performed against Seckman.
Complete the pass. Our receivers made some really clutch catches, in key moments. I know our tight end had a touchdown. Andrew had, like I said, close to about 180 and 2 scores. Brady Cutter had some good catches, and so was Mike. So we had 6 guys score tonight. So definitely was able to keep the balance going a little bit there, spread the ball around, and then that kind of loosened them up and allowed us to establish the run in the second half.
That's a fun win for that Northwest team. Obviously, Seckman and them big rivals, so a good win for the Lions.
You know what I took out of that too, and talking with Corey Tenyus, 6 guys score. So,
yeah.
I mean, the obvious point is, okay, that makes them dangerous all over the field, but also, I mean, think about the type of buy-in and enthusiasm that everybody knows that they're a part of the action.
Yeah.
I mean, that really helps you buy in and know, hey, if I work hard, I have a chance to get the ball and score in this offense.
Yeah, so another big win for Northwest. And then one that I know you wanted to talk a little bit about is the performance by the Fox Warriors as they go out and they beat St. Dominic 42-10. As Warriors head coach Brent Tinker, he says his team played very hard.
I think the kids played with amazing effort. They played with passion tonight, which is one of the things we wanted to come out and do. We wanted to have a little bit more tempo. We got a lot of things up like everybody else in the game right now, but I have to applaud the team's tenacity tonight and their passion, that they're enjoying each other and they're enjoying their time together, and it was pretty evident tonight. They played great.
Well, I mean, Coach Tinker pleased with his team and their start to the season, and that's a nice win, Chad. You saw St. Dominic. You know that's a good football team.
It's a really nice win. St. Dominic's a nice ball club. at the Class 4 level. They're actually ranked. This week, after losing 2 games in a row, they're ranked 10th. Now, Fox, they got bumped up to Class 6, and they are ranked 8th this week in Class 6, in the highest class. That tells you what kind of a team they are. We talked a little bit last week about St. Dominic maybe having Fox at the right time of their schedule, because Fox and Farmington, they might not run identical offenses, but they're very similar. They're triple option attacks. And so I thought maybe that gives St. Dominic a little bit of an advantage, seeing a team like that. But maybe, as it worked out, it gave Coach Tinker a chance to see how St. Dominic defended against that triple option attack, and obviously that's the way it went.
Yeah, certainly an impressive performance by Fox, 42-10 over St. Dominic, as that team certainly looks to be right where they usually are. They'll have to overcome some big schools come playoff time, but Fox and Brent Tinker, they're moving in the right direction, as they always are up there in the northern part of Jefferson County. And let's keep it on moving down as we'll go on over to Windsor, as they got a nice win on the road over Portageville, 35-14. Owls head coach Alex DeMatteis, he says his team had a solid night.
We started very fast.
I have no idea what boxes
Arnold, yep.
I was very happy with how things went in the first half. It was 35-0 at half. We were able to get some guys in the second half and kind of ride it out. So overall, it was a very well played team game, and a little bit of a ride and a little bit of long bus ride for us, but excited to take a little business trip together and come home with a win.
Week in and week out, especially when Windsor wins, we get a recap of the Derek Williams show, and the type of numbers that he puts up. And I don't know who it was, but we've been getting tweets.
Yeah, I've been getting some direct messages.
People are tweeting us the type of numbers that Derek Williams is putting up because of our player of the week. Now, that went to Aiden Boyer this week. Aiden Boyer was deserving of that award.
300 yards and 6 touchdowns is tough to beat.
But you know what? Derek Williams, also very deserving of that award. Hey, keep tweeting us. If you think that somebody ought to get the player of the week, give us a tweet and let us know. I love hearing from people.
Absolutely. No, and listen, man, we're all open to hear all and any and all comers, man. If you have a suggestion, you want to make sure that we're giving shine to the right people, man, we will make sure we pay attention. So, yeah, that Windsor team, Nathan is going to have a chance to see them, not this week, but next, I believe, when they play North County for North County's homecoming game. And so we'll get a chance to see Derek Williams on air there. But he's a darn good football player. That's for sure. And they put together a nice performance. 35-14. Windsor gets the win over Portageville. A couple more games from this past Friday. North County over Agape, 54-14. And also Kelly over Crystal City, 49-0. We had a handful of teams that were off this past week. DeSoto, Herculaneum, Fredericktown, Jefferson, and Grandview. So missing out on seeing all those teams in action here this week. But not going to miss out on our big winners from this past Friday. Who wants to go first? Nathan, I'm going to start with you. Who's your big winner from week 5 of the high school football season?
I'm going to take the Fox Warriors. They were winners at the start of 2 weeks ago when they found out that they had been bumped up to Class 6, if only because it meant that they're not in the same district as Jackson anymore. And then they had responded to that by playing incredibly well to the point that they've earned a ranking in the top 10 in Class 6. They just have some terrific assets for that offense to where they're going to be able to run that triple option attack at will if they want to. Brock Inman is a terrific athlete, their all-conference quarterback, and Chase Maxey, who's their leader in rushing touchdowns so far this season. If you ever get a chance to see this kid in person, be careful that you're not standing too close to him. His arms are the size of tree trunks. I mean, this is a unbelievably well-built running back. They've got an all-conference, a guy linebacker, a guy Luke Bissoni. I think they can play at the next level. They're a real good all-around football team, and we're going to learn even more because they will get a shot at the Jackson Indians this coming week. And if they can at least put up a good fight in that one, we're going to talk about them as a team that has a chance to do some real damage this year.
I think it's written into their school bylaws. You might check. There has to be a Pisoni. That's a really good player on their team every year.
Luke is carrying that legacy. There's never been a bad Pisoni to wear a Fox Warrior jersey, and he's the next great one.
Chad, who's your big winner from this past week?
I don't think you can go anywhere but Valley. I mean, so, they get bumped up to Class 3. There was chatter around it all last season. Everybody pretty much knew it was going to happen, and it did. And they take a look at their district. And so are they going to be able to compete at Class 3? Well, it took them all of 2 rankings to be ranked number 1 in the state in Class 3. They had 24. I mean, we beat it up earlier. They had 24 hours to prepare to play the number 1 ranked team in the state. They turned it over 7 times, and they beat them. it has to be Valley.
Yeah, awfully impressive. I'll tell you what, man. I'm a fan of that program, man. I came from a small Catholic school, and after seeing them these last couple of years, they're a fun group to follow along with. And I watched almost all that game against Blair Oaks, and it was a dandy. Steven, we'll go with you, man. Who is your big winner of the week?
I'll go.
You were on.
All right. Well, okay. I'll go down there and talk St. Vincent. Schumer, their first game of the season, they had to play the Valley team we talked so much about. Had a couple of games that have been postponed or canceled, and they come here and get 2 straight wins. Starting to see that offense kind of come alive a little bit under Tim Schumer. I think over there at St. Vincent, they're starting to rock and roll a little bit.
How good a coach is he? John Liebenmeyer was one of the numerous receivers Garrett Double-R was
That's
throwing
true,
to
yeah.
last year.
Yep.
And he's come out and become a guy that they can trust to throw the football. And, oh, yeah, we've got this kid, Phillip Ernst, who's been hurt that we can throw on the field, and he'll go out and have a monster game. Spread offense is not an easy thing to do, and he makes it easy for those kids. Every time I watch them, I'm impressed.
It's a fun team to watch. It really is. I mean, that is not a high school offense that you see very often in this area. The air raid offense. Tim Schumer runs it. He loves it. He does it to pretty much perfection out there. It's a fun team, certainly. My big winner of the week has got to be the Festus Tigers, boys. You go out and beat the Hillsboro Hawks for the first time in 6 years. That's a long time, man. I'll tell you what, you lose to a rival 6 years in a row, it starts really eating at you. Those are the ones that you still lay in bed up at night and think about and think, oh, man, I wish we would have gotten that one. Festus Tigers remain undefeated. They go out and beat the Hillsboro Hawks for the first time in 6 years, earn a share of the conference championship. They can win it outright now for the first time since 2014. Festus is really impressive this year. So they are my big winner of the week and what they were able to do on Friday. So those are your big winners. Nathan took Fox, Chad took Valley, Kapler took St. Vincent, and I will take Festus, your big winners of week 5 of the high school football season. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we will run through the games that we have coming up on this Friday, and then we'll also take a look at our Hearing Care Partners broadcast schedule, all that and more coming up as we'll wrap up the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's in Farmington. You're on J98. Coming up next.
From mailboxing to packing, UPS Store does
All right.
everything for small business, including printing. Because running your own business means you're also in charge of marketing and promoting. And our printing experts
Just play my minute of ads, right? Or do you want me to play more?
postering all the inks to get people, well, buzzing. The UPS Store. Every ink for small business. And of course, shipping.
Hi, this is Jim, owner of the UPS Store in Festus. See us now at our new location at 650 North Creek Drive next to Tiger Express Car Wash.
I'm coming in after
Dr.
this
Karen
ad.
Nelson at Hearing Care Partners. We hope you don't miss a single thing this sports season. Stop by for a free hearing screening so you'll hear every play and the person sitting right next to you. One of the best parts of the game is chatting with old friends and making new ones. We wish all our local players a safe and healthy sports season. It's Hearing Care Partners. Find us on
Give me a couple more ads here.
Make it a great family night at Applebee's Bar and Grill in Farmington. Hi, my name is Amy Cousins, General Manager of your local store. Maybe start out with a couple of appetizers, boneless wings, onion rings, mozzarella sticks, spinach artichoke dip, chicken quesadilla. There's so much to choose from. Let the kids pick from the kids menu, then for yourself, choose one of our favorites. Steaks, ribs, seafood, pasta, we have it all. Go to Applebee's.com for the full menu and look for our happy hour prices. Doing good in the neighborhood, Applebee's Bar and Grill in Farmington.
Cleaning chemicals, disinfectants, and paper products are just a few of
All right, Hunter, bring it back after this, but sorry about that.
suppliers in Farmington.
That's right, man.
Sneed, owner of CNC Suppliers, a janitorial and food service supplier for commercial and residential use. We carry cleaning products, disposable food containers, gloves, sanitizers, disinfectants, face masks, shields, paper products, and so much more. Find CNC Suppliers on Facebook or stop by our location on Flat River Road in Farmington.
Welcome back here on the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable, live from Applebee's in Farmington. I'm Brandon Pavlina alongside chat speaker Nathan Gertz and Stephen Kapler. Jacob Vincent has departed for the evening, and we've also got Hunter Greeby back in the studio spinning the dials. Big shout out to Hunter, helping to bring you all the sights and sounds from Applebee's in Farmington.
little reminder that folks can watch on the Mimo Info Sports stream, and you can also watch on our sports Facebook page, and we've got some interaction on that too. Heck, send us a question. Steven said we just did get us some correspondence.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to join in the conversation and you can ask us some questions, we'll give you our thoughts. We had somebody write in and ask us if we were aware of the change to the Show Me Bowl, as they just made the announcement today, did Misha, that they are going to not be hosting the Show Me Bowl at Farrat Field in Columbia, but that rather that it's Furrow. You know what? I've heard it a couple of different ways. I know it's wrong, but what do I know?
Farrat Field in Missouri.
Okay. Yeah.
What hill are you willing to die on?
Furrow Field in Columbia is usually Nathan and I called a game from there, so I should know that. But that's usually where they play at Mizzou, but that is not going to be the case anymore, as the games will now be played at Blair Oaks, Helias Catholic, and Jefferson City. Those three high schools have agreed to host games. They say more information will be coming as logistics, such as who will host what game, are being finalized. It says if one of the schools advance to the Show Me Bowl, their game will be played at one of the other two locations. So if one of those schools should make it, they obviously wouldn't get a home game, so they would have to go and play elsewhere. But yes, so for Rowe Field will not be the site of the Show Me Bowl here in 2020.
And so if folks, if you're not familiar with where Blair Oaks is, it's just a few miles south, I think southwest of Jefferson City. I want to say Wardsville coming to mind, but all those fields really located within a few miles of each other. So if you wanted to check out, a few of the games and go to the different locations, you probably could you'd be able to do that, and all really mostly centrally located, close to the middle of the state.
Yeah, but a big news certainly, because it's cool getting a chance to go play at that Mizzou Stadium. It's a beautiful facility up there, but it'll be a little different in 2020, seemingly, as everything is here this year.
I really loved having it in the Dome in St. Louis when they did that.
Yeah, you keep saying that. That's a great idea. You should maybe run it up the ladder.
Well, it took weather completely out of it.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what the weather was doing. Everybody played inside. Plus, they played back-to-back games 2 straight days. So I know a lot of football fans in the state of Missouri, they would just book rooms there, long time in advance. And it didn't really even matter if their team was playing. They just said, hey, it's great football. We can go to one location and watch all the games. So I really thought that was a great situation when they did it there. When the Rams left, it kind of changed the equation a little bit. But I know they're trying to do the best.
I was going to say,
this year, they're probably going to limit attendance too. So.
Probably going to limit attendance. I mean, they might have, the verbiage sounded like they may have crossed up with the Mizzou schedule, but it could also just very well be that they want to spread everything out and not have everybody in one location. Of course, with trying to social distance and everything here in 2020. But yeah, that's the big news from today, that Misha will not be hosting the Show Me Bowls at Furrow Field. It'll be at 3 different high schools: Blair Oaks, Helias, and Jefferson. So that's the big news from today. Again, as Chad said, man, you can hop on Facebook, go to Mimo Info Sports on Facebook. You can also join us on YouTube at Mimo Info Sports. But if you go to Facebook to Mimo Info Sports, I'll say it again, you can join the conversation. You can shoot us some comments, let us know your thoughts, and join in with us, and we'll hear from you there as well. So let's go ahead and run through our games coming up here on Friday for Week 6 of the high school football season. We'll start off with our broadcast games coming up here on Friday. We'll start off with the game on J98, Valley Catholic at Jefferson. We've said Valley Catholic, they look like the team to beat this year, really in the area regardless of class. They're taking on a Jefferson team that, Nathan, I know you've seen this year. Jefferson is obviously coming off a 2-week quarantine. So they got to be anxious to get back out on the field, but they're doing it against a tough opponent.
Yeah, and to boot, the way the schedule's lined up, it sounds like they may not have any type of contact practices leading up to this game. So, yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things. And I actually had a chance to watch a team do something like that in a game I just caught on a Saturday earlier in the year. And you can tell that hurts in a big way, not having any sort of contact, especially when you play Valley Catholic at home. That said, the Blue Jays have some terrific talents. Colby Ott is a tremendous athlete. They've got one of the best linebackers in the state in Dawson Jakubek. And they're fired up to win this one at home because they believed they had a chance to put something together in the I-55 conference. And this is their shot after 2 weeks away to go back on the field and prove how good they are.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a fun one. Valley Catholic Jefferson, that always delivers. It's at Jefferson. You can hear it on J98. Chad's got Farmington at Poplar Bluff. A little bit of a trip for you, Chadster. What do you know about Bluff and expect in that game?
Bluff's had a weird season. They picked up Agape, one of the teams that we've talked about It's a ball club that's in their first year of football, and it's kind of a roving enrollment normally. So they start there, but then they beat DeSoto very convincingly. Their lone loss is Jackson. We've already talked about. You can throw that out. There's one common opponent between Farmington and Poplar Bluff, and it was a very similar score. They both beat Sykeston. Poplar Bluff beat them 30-9. Farmington beat them 25-7. So pretty similar stuff there. So, but the Mules had one of the most interesting off weeks. They had St. Mary's schedule, and then that fell through, of course, the city team. So they had Rolla scheduled. They're all in the bus, ready to make the trip.
Wow.
Rolla had called just before that and said, we're down this many guys, but we think we can still go. Come on over. 10 minutes later, they call while they're on the bus. We can't play.
That's crazy.
So then they call it. They call it off at that point. I talked to Coach Krupe today from Farmington. I said, at this point in the season, you're about midway in the season. Does a week off help because you're a little bit beat up, or do you want that game action? And he said, it just depends what kind of team you have. So it'd be hard to tell. If that benefits the Mules or if it hurts them. But they're a much improved ball club. They went 4-6 last year, and they went 5-6 the year before. So they're looking for their first winning season since 2017. It's the third year of their new head coach, but he's been in the program for 30 years. So there was kind of a continuation there. But they've got a quarterback in Cannon Carr who is in his now basically second and a half season as a starter. He kind of started as a game manager, then became a runner. Now he's added the passing game and the leadership. So that's a good bullet point for them. They've got a lot of good talent coming back, and they're huge. They're like massive. I talked about this a little bit against Cape. I think Farmington has an advantage when they go up against huge lines because their line is so athletic and fast. So that's the matchup I'm going to be looking at once again. Bluff loves to run a bunch of different guys. Give them the ball. They run jet sweeps. They'll try to tag you up the middle. They do a bunch of different stuff like that. So, but it's going to be a harder game than it was a year ago. It's a definitely improved Mules team. And for Farmington, hey, if they just keep progressing like they have been, they've been on an upward trend.
Well, I know the mules are certainly one of the most important animals when it comes to farming and agriculture, but I will stand pat with they are not a good team name as a mascot. Regardless, I digress. Nathan will be on the call. North County at Festus. You can hear that one on AM 1400 KJEF. Nathan Festus with an opportunity to win the MAFC Red Division outright for the first time in almost 6 years.
I'm still kind of staggering from that transition right there, but I'll try to get myself settled. Man, mules
mascot?
Mule slander. I don't know. What I do know is that for all the talk about what Festus does offensively and how they'll try to replace Austin Anderson this week, likely not going to have him for a couple of weeks. The defense, not its best game of the year, but at the same time, they got a huge piece back last week in senior defensive tackle Desmond Davis. He was unblockable. I think he had 11 tackles for them for loss, a couple of sacks. Transfer from Caruthersville, who just, I don't think people breathed on him every time the ball got snapped. He just walked into the backfield untouched. He's 6'1", 270 pounds. He's a bowling ball of a kid who will just dominate games. And they're a different animal, particularly defending the run at least, or the pass rush when he's in the ball game. And they're going to need that because North County, the offense has played really well, all things considered. Great variety of athletes, and Nolan Reed seems to be making some big strides at quarterback.
I'll be watching the score of that one, Nathan. Ever since the first couple of weeks, when you've been talking of Festus and Steven did their game as well, I knew that I would get a chance to see them late in the year. I'll have them against Farmington in week number 8, and really, that's one of the games I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup, really.
Well, it was kind of funny. AJ Ofadale in postgame when I asked it, he said, I actually circled this one. That was one of the few games I circled, and I said, they're going to get better. They're going to be the team we may have to beat in order to win the conference. And obviously a chance to win it outright with this one. So they have felt like this North County game is a big measuring stick for them for a while.
Well, and we'll have coverage. AM 1400 KJEF, North County at Festus. Nathan will be on the call. Final game, Kapler will have it. No, Jacob will have it, rather. St. Jen at Central, but that's another one. I mean, listen, we thought St. Jen was going to be in some trouble to start off the season. We heard from Coach Mike. You had a chance to do the training camp report. They were a young group coming into this season, and they certainly showed through 3 weeks. Through the past 2 weeks, they're scoring almost 50 and only giving up about 12. So they have gone a complete 180. This could be a good game coming up on Friday against Central.
Well,
it confuses me because I don't know exactly how legit the St. John team is, because you've got to say that they're good if they're putting up 50 when they're not playing. I mean, every team they played in the first 3 games is ranked in the top, whatever. Festus is now 5 in their class or whatever. And now whenever they're playing maybe a team that isn't quite up to that caliber, they're putting up 50 plus and scoring like that, in the snap of a finger. So how real is the St. John team? We know that this Central team has had a couple of tests, and we know that their running game is legit. But can they get that passing game going enough to complement that? I'm very, very intrigued about this game between St. John and Central coming up on Friday, and they're rivals too. I mean, they circle this game every year, and they want to play each other. So that's I think going to be one to watch this week.
Yeah, Chad Bradley, go ahead, Nathan.
I was just going to say, I think St. John is the real deal on offense, just because on top of the 3 great opponents, they played 2 pretty solid defensive teams the last 2 weeks. Dylan Wyrick has really made defense the priority in Potosi, and they've been pretty solid there. And St. Pius, since Dan Oliver took over last year, has been very good on that end. I don't think you hang 59 on them unless you got some talent. And on top of all that, we were talking about Corey Schleiss being like, and we won by 30 some odd points, and I'm still disappointed. It's a question of, will it happen in week or will it happen in game, where there's that moment where he turns to his guys and he says, hey, you can get better. Now you need to make it happen. If it happens in game, we got a chance for a good one in Park Hills.
Looking forward to that one. It should be a lot of fun. St. John at Central. There's going to be a lot of media coverage, but we'll be there. You want to check us out on the MIMO Info Sports Stream for that one. St. John at Central. Let's run through the rest of the games quickly and put a bow on Week 5 of the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. Other games around the area: Perryville at Potosi. That'll be a good one. Fredericktown at St. Vincent. Hillsboro at Windsor. Grandview at Herculaneum. St. Pius at Doniphan. Seckman at Ladue. Crystal City at Sherwood. Northwest at Lindbergh. And the big one, Jackson at Fox.
That's the one that, to me, it's a bullet point right there, because I think that I know how good Jackson is. I'm pretty sure of it. And I'm pretty sure Fox is pretty good. I don't know if they're as good as Jackson. That, to me, that's a game. Okay, how good is Fox?
Last week, when we heard the news shortly, just about 24 hours short of kickoff, Blair Oaks Valley Catholic became the game to watch on this past Friday. Jackson at Fox is certainly the one to keep an eye on here on this Friday.
I was talking to someone today who has scouted Jackson, seen a lot of their game film, and he said he didn't see a drive that Jackson's first team offense was in the game that they didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you come to expect from that team, and so it's going to be a tall task for Brent Tinker, but he was excited for the opportunity, man. He was saying they're fortunate to get this opportunity, and they're going to make the most of it.
They kind of assumed they would be in the district with Jackson again this year, so that was the name I heard recycled a lot during training camp when I went to visit them. Their goal has been to get that good, to beat that particular team.
I think that they have a chance, system-wise, to at least make it closer, because if that triple option attack can gain 4, 5, 6 yards on first down, they can at least run clock and limit possessions. And Jackson is all about possessions. They onside kick. They don't like to punt. They're all about getting the ball and going. And if Fox plays their best game, they can limit that anyway.
So that's going to do it for us here. Let's quickly take a look at the Hearing Care Partners broadcast schedule one more time, tell you about what we have coming up. Tiger Talk on KREI on Thursday. Hear from Elia Drinkwitz on the Mizzou Tigers football team. 6 to 7 on KREI. You can hear that on Thursday. Also Thursday, 2 volleyball games. South Iron at Lesterville. You can hear that at 4:45 on the MIMO Info Sports Stream. Also Thursday, volleyball Festus at Jefferson. That one will begin around 6:30 on AM 1400 KJEF. Told you about our games for Friday. You can check those out online as well. On Saturday, we will have Mizzou at Tennessee, the second game of the season for the Tigers. Coverage begins for that one at 9 a.m. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff. You can hear Mizzou at Tennessee on AM 800 KREI and AM 1400 KJEF. So that'll do it for us here on this week's edition of the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable, live from Applebee's in Farmington. Once again, a happy birthday to Amy Cousins, and a big thanks to her as well for always doing her part and helping to bring all this to you here at Applebee's. If you missed any of our conversations, we're going to have the full roundtable posted shortly to our website. And a reminder, you can always go to a Hearing Care Partners broadcast schedule and see a full list of all of our upcoming broadcasts on a regional radio. Big thanks to Greg and Christy Cole and Cole's Tractor Equipment for sponsoring the roundtable. Big thanks to Amy Cousins and the entire staff at Applebee's in Farmington for sponsoring and hosting the roundtable. And of course, a big thanks to you, the listener, for tuning in and hanging out with us. For Chad Speaker, Jacob Vincent, Stephen Kabler, Nathan Gertz, Hunter Greeby, I'm Brandon Pavlina saying so long, be good, and please wear a mask.